we'll be talking about probiotics. So she'll be talking about probiotics. And we also discussed last week or last month wheat and products, things that are the whole wheat that are good. And so I asked her to talk about some of those products that she likes that are good, different breads that she likes. So she's going to bring that information up too. So I do like to just find articles, and one of my favorite things to do is look at the health and science on Sunday morning and see what's in that section. So that comes to me first when Brent and I read the paper on Sunday mornings. One in the last couple of months, they've done a couple segments, and one is on this science and health is if we sit a lot, do we have to move a lot? And some of the information in this article is interesting. There's research that was done on different things, and kind of what they came up with. They talk about walking for at least 11 minutes a day could reduce undesirable health consequences of sitting for hours and hours. According to a new study, the ways in which both inactivity and exercise influence how long we live. What this article got to mostly, and I'll read the very end, was the researchers concluded that the sweet spot for physical activity and longevity seemed to arrive at about 35 minutes a day of brisk walking or other moderate activities, an amount that led to the greatest satisfaction improvement in lifespan, no matter how many hours someone sat. So I thought, well, that's interesting. They're not making people move that much in this article, and I'm asking you to move 2 or 3 hours a day, right? So there's one. And then there's another one here that says, do you have enough time for the 4-second workout? And another, they did research on people, and they talked about, in particular, multiple hours of sitting can contribute to a later rise in the bloodstream of fatty acids known as triglycerides, probably in part because muscles at rest produce less than contracting muscles do of a substance that breaks up triglycerides. High levels of triglycerides in turn are linked to an increased risk of heart disease and other metabolic problems. So you got 2 different articles telling you 2 different things here. And I think what has to happen is you just have to go, okay, we ask you to move because they call sitting the new smoking. And I heard Sanjay Gupta talk about that just on Sunday morning the other day, how sitting was the new smoking and how movement in the brain really helps with Alzheimer's. And that's what he's an Alzheimer's doctor. So that was interesting. And then it goes on to say in this article, recently researchers began to wonder whether more frequent brief spurts of exercise throughout the day, especially if they were intense, may better stave off the undesirable effects of sitting. And then in the end, it says, when you find yourself sitting for most of the day, try to rise frequently and move, preferably intensely as often as possible and for as many seconds as you can manage. So they're telling you to move intensely to really get the blood flowing around the system. So again, 2 different articles telling you 2 different things. So what I do is and what we do in our studio is go, you got to listen to your body. The best thing you can do is listen to what you need to do as an individual to move. Sitting for more than 2 hours is probably not a good idea. You need to get up and take little breaks. Trying to get some aerobic capacity going is smart. So if you could, build up to that. Don't think, okay, I'm going to get on a bike. I'm going to go as fast as I can for 4 minutes because this article told me to do that. It's good for me. All right. Check with your doctor. Make sure, you don't have any heart problems. Make sure that different things that you're doing are going to build up to what you do in movement. When you come into the Pilates studio, that's a whole hour of movement. That's a beautiful movement. And but I do think that some cardio movement is important too, to, help blood flow through the system into the brain. And I think that's just important. So that was one of the things, I want to talk about moving. And so when you talk about 2 to 3 hours of moving, that's all together, whether that's in a kitchen, if that's running a sweeper, if that's dusting your house, if it's moving, traveling from one place to another, all of that counts as movement. All right. And then maybe some more, an hour of good. And, I got to go to a place and move. They make me move. They make me think. That's what I have to do. I need a class situation instead of me being at home, trying to do movement on a reformer and things get me up and down off the reformer for some reason. A class helps me stay focused. And that's probably why you guys come to class too, right? It's my guess. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Okay. So next, Has anybody used the Move Tracker? I used the Move Tracker for 2 months straight in October, November, and then took a little break in December. I wanted to see what would happen when I didn't use the Move Tracker. Well, because I had used it for 2 months straight and I really pretty religiously used it every day, all of those things I did on that tracker really stuck with me. And it was kind of there every day. Now I tried that back a while back when I was using the Move Tracker, and it didn't work as well because I took 6 weeks off. So it was 3 weeks. It seems like I could go off of it. Then I start forgetting things. So I went back to January 1st. Oh, I'm going to use it again. And so I've been using it again religiously. Now I'm going to travel and we're going to see how that goes. But anyway, I just use it for certain reasons, and then I'll go off of it, and then I'll come back to using it again. And I would like to see if anybody is using the Move Tracker or parts of it, or what they think of it. Anybody? You can unmute yourself now. Lori, did you use it? I can't hear you.
Now you can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had to push my mute button. Yeah, I used it in November.
Okay.
And, I'm not very good at doing any of this tracking, so I was resistant to it, but you showed it to me, so I thought I'd try. It really helped me stay focused on all the areas, especially for fruits and vegetables, and for walking, like you said, I did more movement in my day than I thought I did, so it helped me with that.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah.
I took a break in December, so I only had a month in. Now
Okay,
I've had a
good.
month off, and now
That's
it's January.
Thanks. All right.
It'll be helpful for me.
Oh, good. Anybody else try it? No. Just remember, it's, did somebody raise their hand?
Yeah, Pam, it's Todd.
Oh, hi, Todd.
Good evening. I tried it for, I think, about a week, right after the last class we had like this. And I think what I liked about it was, having done some tracking before, I liked that some of the distinctions and delineations of the food types, because I hadn't done that necessarily before.
Right.
So that worked well. I think some of the things toward the bottom were less meaningful to me. And I wanted them to be more meaningful. Maybe it's just me. I was disappointed it didn't really make a difference for me. And then I think overall, I haven't yet figured out, it seems a little duplicative to some of the other things going on with my Apple Watch and other tools that are available. And so I haven't really rationalized all that yet, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you tried. I think are you talking about like the social aspect or the mindful, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Environmental. Yeah. I think if you watch the program more, maybe like Maria's talking tonight and Mariel's talking tonight too. Maybe they can come up with some different things with you as to what you track when you're thinking mindful, or what you're tracking. You guys all saw the 1 minute mind thing she did last time. So, something like that. Even if you do something simple like that, that counts as a point. So, yeah, so that's great. I'm going to try and stay on track to get through an hour. So we'll go through, and I'm going to have Maria talk next, and she's going to talk about seasonal affective disorder. And then she's going to do touch on the book a couple times, because she can't be here at the end of the hour. So I'm going to finish on the book at the end of the hour if you want to stay and do that. But if you didn't read the book, you don't have to. But if you want to listen in, you certainly can. So Maria is coming next, and she is going to talk. So I'm gonna mute myself. Okay, Maria.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. First, I want to tell you a few updates for me. So I'm not going to be a trainer at the studio anymore. Instead, I'm moving on to, for now, I'm focusing on my mental health practice at it's at another clinic. So I'm going to be focusing more on mental health and coming back into a Pilates setting eventually, but just wanted to let you all know that. But I'll still be coming on to Zoom and doing some more presentations for everyone, which I really love. And I'm not going to let go of my practice, and you'll probably see me in the studio taking classes. I'm just not in a teaching capacity, because I love it. It's my family, but I just needed to focus on my own, my other career as well. So as I talk about seasonal affective disorder, I want you to know that if you still have questions, my profile will not be on Pilates Minnesota, but you can get a hold of me and I can send out my contact information in the comments. So you can just email me if you have questions about any mental health, emotional wellness questions. As I work through it, go ahead and email me and I can get back to you. And I'll just put that email in the comments now. There it is. Okay. And so we're going to move on to seasonal affective disorder. Just kind of a show of hands if you've heard of this before, appropriately named SAD. So SAD, seasonal affective disorder, it hits Minnesota pretty hard, typically because of our brutal winters when the sun decides to turn us into Alaska for a little while. But thankfully we're in January and the sun kind of comes back 1 minute every day. I believe that's how that works. So with seasonal affective disorder, it's definitely something to think about. And I'm gonna share my screen with you all because NAMI is, let me pull that up here, just 1 second. Okay. Can I share the screen, Alex? Is it?
Yeah, 1 second, let me take a look.
Okay. So NAMI is National Alliance in Mental Health Disorders, and there's a chapter in Minnesota, and it's a great resource for anybody looking for any sort of mental health diagnosis information resources. So that's where I pulled a lot of information for you tonight, and I will try to share that for you. Can you all see this? Yes, good. And so seasonal affective disorder is basically when you can feel your body fatigue during a seasonal change. So whether it's spring, fall, winter, summer, there's something different that you feel within your body, whether you're lacking your weight gain, feeling tired during the day, sleeping a lot, feeling hopeless. Like these are all significant changes in your mental health. And that's when you can kind of pinpoint, I'm feeling more down during winter, and why is that? Or I'm feeling a change in my own personality in the springtime. Why is that? And so that's when it would be an appropriate time to contact your doctor and let him know about how you're feeling. So again, this can not only happen in the winter, but it can happen in any season. It could happen in multiple seasons. But typically it's a seasonal change that you would notice. And so you would have difficulty sleeping, feeling agitated or anxious. And a lot of times in Minnesota, it's because of the light that people are feeling this way, or the weather that can cause us to feel a little bit more fatigued. There are a few things that you can do to be kind of proactive, but I definitely recommend, as we look at ways to kind of combat that feeling of sadness during winter months or during different seasons. Again, there's simple ways you can do at home, but also know that you can go to your doctor or seek a therapist for more ideas as well, or to get a formal diagnosis if you're finding like, actually in the winter I do feel sad, and it's not on those, when several years ago when we had the like sub-zero -50 degree for like a month. I think everybody had seasonal affective disorder. Like that was when eggs were freezing outside and nobody was feeling happy about this. This is more like chronic, where you're noticing a change in your behavior right around the seasonal change. So it's not just the below zero temperature, it's very noticeable, and it could be sunny, but you're still feeling really, really kind of blue. So I think we'll start with like some treatments that have been recommended, and that's like light therapy boxes. Those boxes are, I think I have. Um, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them anywhere. And I have a link for Mayo Clinic that talks about the light boxes in therapy, and it should be about 10,000 LUX light boxes that the voltage, that's what you need. And then it just talks about how far you need to stay away from it. And the light box is important because you don't want to impact your vision. So it's definitely important to talk to your doctor about what they would recommend as well, about timing and duration of how long you should use it. But it doesn't take away the symptoms, but it lessens the symptoms. The other thought is getting up and moving. So when you're, like Pam was just talking about, you need to get your brain active, you need to get your blood flowing. So one method would be considered opposite action. And so if you're sitting at home and you're cozy and it's cold outside, but you signed up for class at the studio, and you know, if you are sitting on your couch, it's very cozy and you're feeling very tired, but you signed up for class. So the opposite action would be, even though you're like, I'm really cozy, I'm not going, you do it anyways. You take the next right step, which would be to go to class. Because I promise within 5 minutes of being in class, they'll motivate you and you'll walk out feeling better than when you came in. So that would be an example of opposite action. So other than those two things, if you're feeling that you need, this sounds like you, or you're feeling like, I wonder if that's not me in the springtime or in the summer, I feel really fatigued. That would be a really great time to talk to your doctor and say, hey, I learned about this. Can I be evaluated for it? Who else should I talk to? And if you have any more questions about seasonal affective disorder, I'm certainly available to help. Just send me an email and I can make recommendations as well. So again, keep moving, check out the light therapy boxes. Vitamin D is also a nice way to make sure you have that vitamin, especially in the winter months, and psychotherapy such as cognitive behavioral therapy to help navigate your seasonal affective disorder. So that's that. Do you guys have any questions? No, good. Moving on. So I wanted to just briefly touch on the emotional intelligence book. It's one of my favorite books that I've read. Pam encouraged us to read it a couple of years ago in the studio. The book is more geared towards like a working environment, but I found it to be it can translate beautifully into your personal life as well. So just out of curiosity here, how many people read the book? Yes, good. Oh, good. So I'm going to just move down here. So just to do a brief summary, there were a couple of key points in the book just to go over. So when the questions come at the end of the MOVE program and Pam talks about it, you can kind of understand what the concept of the book was. So like self-awareness, self-management, mixed signals, body language, all of those things have to do with your emotional intelligence, your EQ. That term was not foreign to me just because I learned about it in my graduate work for social work. But for a lot of people, that term is like, well, what is emotional IQ? It's how we believe who ourselves to be and how we interact with the world around us and what we perceive to be going on with people around us as well. And so being in the field that I am, we have to do a lot of understanding body language and understanding people's perceptions of what's going on around them. So this book kind of hones in on your self-awareness of how your own emotions affect yourself and how that can be brought into the workplace. And then about body language of what we see when we talk to people and how they're responding to us, whether it's slouched shoulders or no eye contact. Body language can tell us so much. And then also about how we're sending mixed signals. So an example would be you're going to work and your car doesn't start and now you're late, but you're supposed to give a great presentation and all of a sudden your voice is low and quiet and you're really grumpy, but it has to do with your car not starting, not about the presentation you're giving, but your audience is feeling that. And so it's about the mixed signals that we're giving. And so one thing that I thought was really interesting, that when I was reading the book and doing a little bit more research about it, how important this is for relationship development in business, but also in our personal life as well. So people like to feel connected, and the way to do that is understand how they receive information the best as well. The thing, let me see if I can. One of the questions that I thought was most interesting, and I'm wondering if what your thoughts are about this too, is that only 36% of people can accurately identify their own emotions as they're happening. So if we've ever been in a situation where we feel really angry, but we're not really sure why, only 36% of people can identify the reason why. And so I found that really interesting. Anybody else find that to be like eye-opening? Like, we're not really in tune with ourselves very much. That's a big percentage of people that are not really in tune. And so this book helps us with that. Did everybody who read the book take the test at the end? Yeah, that test is pretty like eye-opening, and it helps us identify where our strengths are and our weaknesses, which is always a good thing. The other thing that I wanted to point out is emotion versus logic, which is something I struggle with decision. I tend to make decisions out of emotion. Anyone else? Emotional decision maker? No, just me? Okay. Well, an emotional logic list has to do with having a big decision and making kind of making a list, like a pros and cons list, but it's emotion versus logic. So how your emotions affect your decision one way or the other, is that based out of how you're feeling or based out of actual facts? So it's a good way to make smart decisions. One example would be like if you're having the example I think that was given, if you're having a really good mood and you go to a shop and there's like deals galore, and so you go and buy so many things because you're have this really good mood, and then a month later you get a credit card bill and you're like, wait a second, I was really happy and based my impulses off of my good mood, and now I have this big bill and now I'm feeling really sad. And so it's basically knowing the consequences of every decision, good or bad. It's just good to know that. And so I thought the book was amazing. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. But any thoughts on the book before I pass it back over to Pam, or any other questions? No, great. Well, that's what I have on
Thanks,
SAP,
Maria.
a brief summary of the book.
Yep. And if anybody wants to stick around and talk a little bit more about it afterwards, we'll all unmute ourselves and talk about it, those who want to do that. Okay. Next is Marielle, our registered dietitian, and she will be talking. You're up, Marielle.
Well, hi, everyone. Hopefully I can keep my talk a little bit shorter this time, although there's a lot of information to unpack. So I would like to mainly focus on probiotics for this session. That is because probiotics is such a hot topic right now. And if you go to any grocery store or natural health store, you walk down that aisle, it can be so overwhelming seeing all those probiotic supplements laid out. So what I mainly want to do is help clear up any information you might have on probiotics, and then just also give you the tools to be able to select probiotics for yourself if that's something that you aim to do without breaking the bank. Like I mentioned, probiotics is a super hot topic, so a lot of you might already know a lot about it. But what I want to do is just even the playing field at the very beginning and just give you the basic information. So I apologize if a lot of this is repeat information, but hopefully you get a little bit of new nuggets of information. So I'm just going to kind of start off with what probiotics are. The gut is home to a large variety of bacteria, good and bad, and a large portion of the bacteria is what we know as our good bacteria, our probiotics. There is an abundance of research that shows the link between good gut health and the contents of your gut. Research even shows that the content of your gut while you're pregnant can affect the health of your future child. Good gut health has been linked to reducing risk of lactose intolerance, headaches, anxiety, depression. It's also been linked to promoting heart health, bone health, immunity, regularity, blood sugars. So I could go on and on with all the health benefits, but just know they're out there. So where do probiotics come from? How do they get to our gut? They come from fermented foods. And so fermentation is the process in which we convert sugars into gases, acids, and alcohol. And the way I like to remember this is by thinking of my favorite fermented food, which is kombucha. So when you open a bottle of kombucha, you hear that hiss. That's the gases being let off. When you drink it, it's a little bit acidic. That's the acid. And then if you look at the bottle, it should say somewhere on the bottle that it contains alcohol, and it will tell you, we recommend you not drinking this if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. So fermentation is the process of taking sugar and converting it to gases, acids, and alcohol. And the purpose of fermenting is to preserve food, but in the process, we get a lot of beneficial enzymes and probiotics. Probiotics, the examples of these would be yogurt, tofu, pickles, sauerkraut, kimchi. Those are just some of the examples of foods you might find probiotics being in. You also might have heard of prebiotics. Sounds similar, but a little bit different. Prebiotics are components in foods that our body can't digest in the stomach. So when it hits the gut, it actually helps feed the probiotics. So think of it like you plant a seed in the garden and then the prebiotics come in and help water it so that it will grow. Examples will include banana, onions, leeks, garlic, soybeans, asparagus, artichokes, and apples. So when possible, I definitely recommend pairing a pro and a prebiotic together so you get the most for your gut health. So for example, having yogurt and banana for a snack, adding kimchi to like a grain bowl if you go to an Asian restaurant, or adding tofu as a protein source for your dinner and then topping it with leeks. Just so you get those pro and prebiotics together. Eating a diet in fiber-rich foods, especially fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, will encourage a healthy gut and lead to many health benefits, like I mentioned earlier, but you can actually hurt your gut health. For example, a diet rich in processed foods and artificial sweeteners will create a gut that's really inflamed, and your gut is not going to thrive. Poor sleep can actually hurt your gut. Believe it or not, your probiotics have a circadian rhythm and they need you to get regular sleep to survive. And then we've all probably heard this before, but stress can kill off good bacteria. So your gut's kind of like the MOVE program. You need to eat well, you need to sleep, and you need to be mindful. Does anyone have any questions about the food, the probiotics, prebiotics at all? Awesome. So let's move on a little bit to the supplements, because that's where things can get a little bit overwhelming. Another way to get probiotics is to take a daily supplement, which, like I said, we've all probably seen at the grocery store. And my overall goal is just to help you make sense of it. There are about around 9,000 different strains of probiotic, and each strain can do a different thing, has a different purpose. I really want to put a disclaimer out there that there can be a downside to taking probiotic supplements, especially if you have certain conditions such as like cancer or already weakened immune system. Some research does indicate that taking a probiotic while in these states can actually decrease your gut health or hurt it. So always consult your doctor before starting a probiotic. The other thing is if you are not taking one now and you plan to start taking one, always start low with your colony forming unit or your CFU, and I'll explain what that means in just a minute. But starting too high can actually lead to bloating and discomfort. So just start low better and then work your way up. So this is kind of a supplement bottle, a standard one you would see at the store, and lots of sciencey words on it. So let's kind of unpack it together. The first thing you see on here is the colony forming unit, right? It says 40 billion, if you can see, 40 billion CFUs. CFU simply means the number of microorganisms the company is telling you that's alive in each capsule. So when choosing a CFU, you want to choose a number that's bigger than 5 billion. 5 billion is the minimum number that must reach the intestine in order for you to get benefits. This is because our stomach is such a harsh environment. There's a lot of acid and bile coming in that a lot of the microorganisms don't make it from the stomach to the intestines, which is kind of where the gut magic happens. That being said, bigger is not always better. So if I see one that says 40 billion, and then I see one that says 90 billion and it's more expensive, I might not want to just reach for that 90 billion because it is more. There might be some other things that I will want to consider before I just automatically buy that one. So bigger is not always better, but we want something over 5 billion so that it can survive our stomach, get to our intestines. So what's another thing that we should consider? The next thing to consider is it coated? Is it enteric coated? That coating means that it's going to be protected in our stomach. It's going to have a layer of protection and has more of a chance of reaching our intestine. It should say it somewhere on the bottle. This one doesn't say it anywhere on the bottle. I went to the manufacturer's website and they claim that they choose the hardiest strains that will make it to your intestines. That's true. There are strains that are hardier than others, but there are certain conditions when you take your probiotic that might ensure that it's not going to make it to your stomach. Overall, I would just look for one that's enteric coated. This one here, it is enteric coated, but it has 14 billion. So less, but it's more likely to reach my gut. So something to consider. You want to look for the expiration date, because the closer you get to the expiration date, those microorganisms are going to be dying out, and they're not going to be serving you, and you're pretty much just taking a dead pill. So that's something else to just kind of consider. If you're someone who's like, yes, I'm taking this every day, you could probably take one that has a lot more in a package. But if you don't buy a big bottle, if you don't plan to take it every day, and you're just going to end up throwing it away. So just something else to consider. Some probiotics are found on the shelf, and some of them are found in the refrigeration section. And I really want to reiterate this, but location does not imply quality, only which strains you will find. So some strains will only be found in the refrigerated section, and some strains will only be found in the shelf stable section. Shelf stable usually means that they're soil based, so they can live shelf stably. There is no research to suggest that refrigerated probiotics are more effective than their temperature controlled counterparts. So just kind of what you're going to find either place. And then that kind of brings me to the best way to choose a probiotic is just to look for the strain you need. Each strain has a purpose, like I mentioned. So if you have health goals, it's really easy for you to just kind of go online, research what each probiotic does, and then go to the store and look for those. For example, this is probably one that people have seen before. This one has 6 billion. They say 6 billion probiotics on here, 6 billion CFUs. This only has 2 strains in here. So let's say you had like a young teenager and your main goal was like, they got constipated a lot and they're getting sick a lot. I mean, bam, bam, that takes it out right there. Or if you're just starting out and you just want to start taking a probiotic, that might be the reason you would taking this. But this one, that its main purpose is just regularity and immune function. So this is a really cheap way to cover those two issues. So there's a lot of great websites that will list out probiotics, what their function is, and which companies carry them. You can find those on your own, or if you want, I can always share some of the websites I've used in the past with clients, and I can give that to Pam as well. So just something to consider is the easiest way to kind of find a probiotic that works for you is just by targeting specific strains. Just to kind of give you an idea of all the different strains that are out there, I'm just going to list a few, but for like strains for immune function, L. acidophilus, L. fermentum, B. longum, they all cover immune function. Lactoacidophilus does vaginal health, diarrhea, and acne. L. rhamnosus does GI support and eczema. L. plantarum does inflammation. L. casei does brain function and diarrhea. Bifidobacterium lactis does immunity. B. longum does constipation and brain function. B. breve does GI support and anti-aging. And B. bifidum does immunity and GI support. So there's a lot more out there, but as you can see, they do a lot of things, a lot of health benefits. A new thing that's starting to hit the market is raw probiotics. You'll start to see that on the market. This simply means that along with the strain, the capsule also contains vitamins. So their idea is that like you're getting raw foods with this probiotic, which is pretty cool. But I would caution you in taking these only because some people might say, okay, well, I don't need to take my multivitamin now, I'm taking this, but you might be missing out on other things, some vitamins and minerals from your multivitamin. And then at the same time, I would caution you to take it while taking your multivitamin because some things might counteract. For example, calcium and iron, they inhibit the absorption. Calcium inhibits the absorption of iron. So just do some research, consult your doctor, consult your dietitian, before adding just new things into your diet. But the idea is if you're someone who struggles with fruits and vegetables and you need a little extra vitamins in your diet and you want to take a probiotic, that's what the raw probiotic is. Lastly, you might also see probiotic with added prebiotic on the label. This is great. This means that with the strain, there's also an added prebiotic in there like multidextrin or inulin, and that's just going to help feed the gut. Personally, for me, inulin doesn't sit very well with my system, so I would probably want to avoid that. I really want to caution everyone because for like this specific product, the one next to it, there was a probiotic plus prebiotic that was more expensive. So ideally, I'd be like, yeah, I want the prebiotic as well. I want to help feed my gut. But when I looked at this one, it actually has an organic prebiotic fiber blend already added. It's just not advertised. So why would I buy the more expensive one when it's already added into this one? Another thing to consider is this one just says probiotic, but if I look at the ingredients, it has inulin in it, which I just said doesn't sit well with me. So it's important just to look at the ingredients and do your research about kind of what they're putting into your supplements as well. But generally, prebiotics are good to be added to probiotics. Going to help everything be digested well. Does anyone have any questions about that? Threw a lot of information at you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about apple cider vinegar?
Yes. What about it?
People are taking it for stomach health.
So apple cider vinegar, I mean, it has a lot of benefits, but at the same time, it also can cause a lot of GI upset. It has been known to cause like diarrhea. It gets your GI moving very quickly. It's kind of what works for you, but it's the same idea, probiotic.
Is it a probiotic?
Yeah, it has probiotic benefits in it.
It does. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it works for you, yes, but it's not the cure-all that people are touting it to be. It's not going to make you lose 50 pounds in 5 days, but it can definitely help with it does have a lot of health benefits.
Okay.
Good question. What is it, first thing in the morning, do you recommend? Or like what time of day is best to be taking these probiotics?
So I'm just about to get to that. I'll get to that in just a second. Any other questions?
Yeah, don't you have to dilute that if you do apple cider vinegar a little bit, because it's pretty strong?
So for a while, I was taking it because I was having really bad stomach pains, and I got to the point where I could just take 2 tablespoons myself. But you should probably dilute it.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the FODMAP? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but is that similar to the prebiotic? Would that be sort of that list of items, or?
So actually, a lot of those prebiotic foods are not included in the FODMAP diet.
Okay.
For example, like garlic, you typically want to stay away from in
Right.
prebiotic or in the FODMAP diet.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? These are all great. Okay, so let me get to that question, is how should you take your probiotic? So to answer that one right off the bat, you can take your probiotic any time of day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, but it's encouraged to take it with a large meal. Ideally, this large meal would be with a healthy fat. Research shows that a probiotic has a higher survival rate when you make a nice cushy environment in your stomach. So big meal, healthy fat with it. And then there's strong research to suggest that it's not ideal to take your probiotic with hot liquids, such as like a coffee or hot soup. This is because, like I said, the gut is a really harsh environment. So adding that hot liquid to it is not going to improve your overall health, which is very ironic because as I was researching this and writing this out, I remembered I needed to take my probiotic, and I took my probiotic with some tea, and I was like, oh, perfect. So big meal, healthy fats, that's kind of how you want to take it. And then you want to be taking your probiotic every single day if you can, because if you think about it, we are passing them out every single day. So it really does no use for us to only take them sometimes. So just something to consider. It's important to take them every single day. Any questions about how to take them?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you recommend changing your probiotics when you say you empty a bottle? Would you recommend, because there's so many to take, to change it up every now and again?
Only if your probiotic's not necessarily working for you, or like you have different health goals.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so the last thing I'm getting towards the end, I promise, guys. But one of the last thing I want to kind of end on is there's been a lot of talk about us during this pandemic, if we are cleaning and disinfecting too much, and is it going to impact our gut health? One of the reasons why this topic came up is because of a product called Triclosan that came onto the scene and was added to a lot of products, such as like soap and other cleaning products, but adding it to soap was one of the big ones. Early research showed that Triclosan could disrupt our gut health, and so the FDA actually ended up banning it from soap. It's still in other products, and they're monitoring it. So that's kind of where this whole conversation came up, is can cleaning too much disrupt our gut health? And that being said, research is indicating that we as humans cannot be too clean in our homes. This means that overusing cleaners does not have significant effect to cause autoimmune disorders or allergies, because although we try our best to keep our homes clean, pathogens are going to continue to enter as we go in and out, as pets go in and out, as food goes in and out. But the bottom line is more research needs to be done in this field. It's something that we truly need to keep our eye on. I really encourage everyone to look to the Environmental Protection Agency or the EPA website for choosing clean products. I also really want to encourage everyone to be cautious when just cleaning with like essential oils, because true good essential oils only they only target specific bacteria. So the best is just to choose like a good clean product, but just keep cleaning, everyone. It overall won't disrupt your gut health. And then, yeah, I can share some information with, I saw the message down there. I can share a website and Pam can send that out. Any questions about that at all? The other one I wanted to show, the other one that I found at my grocery store, which I think is kind of cool, is it's like a liquid you can take. It's kind of like kefir, but this one is just acidophilus. It's 20 billion CFUs, and you just take 2 tablespoons after each meal. It probably wouldn't work for me because I would definitely forget it. But if you were someone who needed like something sweet after every meal, it's blueberry flavored. This is just kind of a fun alternative, I guess. And it's just for gut health. That's all. That's all the strain does for this one. So the last thing, I'm finishing up, I promise, is Pam asked me to talk a little bit about bread and whole grains. Unfortunately, I live in a really small town, so I don't have access to a lot of bread. I was hoping to be able to share some breads that I recommend. But when selecting bread, the major things you want to do, we talked about this last time, was 100% whole grain is the big thing. You want minimum of 2 grams of fiber. Ideally, you'd want about 3 grams of protein, less than 4 grams of sugar, and then no saturated fat. That's what you want to aim for when choosing bread. And then I kind of wanted to show you how marketing tricks you. I saw, so Brown Berry is a brand that I sometimes buy, but they don't have what I need. And so this one is natural wheat, no artificial preservatives, colors, flavor, no high fructose corn syrup. So they make it sound real good, right? It's natural wheat. But then when you look at the back of the label, the first ingredient is cracked wheat. So not whole grain, which, like we talked about last time, is kind of what you want to go after. This is one I buy often, which is Brown Berry. And then I like it because it's whole wheat, and I always try to see where the sugar is located on the ingredient label. I want the sugar to be located farther down. That usually means, you know, it's not one of the first ingredients. Other brands I really recommend is Arrowwheat. That has good amount of fiber, not too much sugar, but only 90 calories. Not that calories truly matter. Dave's Killer Bread is really good for people who like don't eat enough protein. What's the other ones? Oh, Ezekiel 49 is another really good bread brand. And then Angelic Bakehouse is another good one that I recommend. Another thing I didn't talk about last time, but it's a new food trend that's coming onto the scene, is you'll see whole grain with sprouted grain added. This is something I definitely recommend because so it's whole grains with the sprouted grains, and then that means that it's whole grains that have started to germinate, so the seeds have started to pretty much grow. So it makes it that the nutrients are more available. It makes it easier for your bodies to digest. So if you see that, if you see whole grains with sprouted grains added, don't think you're being tricked or anything, but it's actually kind of a new cool thing that's hitting the scene. I definitely recommend that as well. So that's kind of my spiel on bread. Hopefully I didn't use up too much of everyone's time tonight.
No, that was great, Marielle. Thanks so much. That was really very interesting, I thought. That would be nice to get the websites for all those different strains. So
yeah, definitely.
Yep. So we can do that. And then can you just on the chat maybe just spell out like that one? I would like to know that one that the cleaning triclizan you said.
Yeah, triclosan. Do you want me to spell it out for you?
Yeah, just spell it out on there. I kind of want to look it up and just,
Yeah.
I always like to I'm geeky, look at those kinds of things. And then maybe also on the chat, you can put just those ones you suggested.
The breads.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Exactly.
course.
Yeah, so that way we have it. We can go back and look at that. If anybody wants to write that down, or you're not spelling it correctly like me, it's like arrow wheat. How do you spell it? ARROW.
I think they spell it weird. This is how I believe they spell it.
Okay. And then Ezekiel, I've seen that bread. I just don't know how to spell that either. So maybe that information could go on the chat too, just in case people are looking for that information. All right, that was perfect. Thank you. And please do, if you last time, a lot of people really got back to us and told us whether they want to hear about, and I sent it over to Marielle and she listens to you all. So I know that, Julie Magni, for instance, you were talking about immunities and what foods are good for immunity, especially during this time, during the COVID time. So that might be a good topic next time too. So that was great to listen to that. And then Lori was talking about trying to she gives us recipes in the newsletter. And sometimes if you don't have ad blockers or stuff like that on you go to those recipes and there's lots of ads and lots of different things. So maybe we could think of a different way to represent those recipes in the newsletter, so you aren't going to a site and searching for the recipe. Does anybody else have trouble with that? Some of us do. I know I've done it before. I'm like, where's the recipe? Trying to get through it. And all these ads come up. So I do understand that. So maybe we can copy and paste and, we'll figure it out. Does anybody else have any questions about any of that? No. Okay, with further ado, we're going to Molly. Oh, wait, we're going to Brent. Brent is next. He's going to break up this talk, and then Molly will talk, and then we'll be just about finished. So he's going to give you some fun little tips here. And here he comes. You guys can unmute yourself because you get to go. I think you get to do some question answer kinds of things. Okay. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Hey everybody, I'm just popping in for a couple minutes to break things up. We know how important all this stuff is for your health. Another thing that's important is music for everybody and music therapy. We don't really think about it, but just listen to music.
Connected to Brent's iPhone.
Oh.
You're connected.
I'm connected. Okay. Anyway, so I got a couple of musical therapy kind of things for you. Just basically trivia. I'll play parts of 3 or 4 songs just for fun. Not very much. You guys will probably come up with these pretty easy. And then I've got some quick questions, some trivia on music, just to break things up here before you get back into your health stuff. So first of all, this very first one, I'm going to play a little bit of a song. Can anybody tell me, this is an artist that rose to fame with this song quite a few years ago, but it was pretty popular, I think. I didn't really listen to her too much, but can anybody tell me who this is and what the name of the song is? You ready? Here we go.
This was never the way I planned, not my intention. I got so brave drinking and lost.
Katy Perry.
Excellent. Who was that? Martha. Nice job. Katy Perry. And I guess it was I Kissed a Girl. That was a big hit for her when she first was breaking in. So that was good. I'll do another one where I play and you guys can kind of listen. Tell me, this is from 1981. It was a #1 hit. Anybody tell me the name of the song or the band or both? Let's see, here we go.
Journey.
What's the name of the song? What's that?
Don't stop believing.
Yeah, that was huge. I remember that back in the day. Okay, here, these next 2 are a little tougher, then I'll do a little trivia quick here, but this song is by a different artist than made the song famous. This band, a different band wrote the song, so this is a cover, but can you tell me what band is covering this particular song, what the name of the song is, and who was the band that actually wrote it, that made it famous? Shouldn't be too bad, but it's a little weird version of it. Here we go.
Well, the Stones wrote it.
Stones wrote it. That's a little different person than the Stones.
Yeah.
What's the name of the song? You guys know?
I can't get no
Can't get no
satisfaction.
satisfaction, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Now who's singing it?
yeah, who's singing that thing? You guys won't give me a couple more seconds.
No idea.
No idea.
Devo, is it?
Nice job, Jay. That was a tough one.
Yeah.
Really tough one. That was.
What was it?
Devo.
Devo. Really?
But, yeah, they had a couple songs, a couple hits back in the day. You should look them up sometime though. Yeah, like on YouTube.
Yeah.
Funny.
Devo was one of the first in the music MTV stuff.
Yeah, that was a big deal back then. All right, one more song.
That ages me.
Me too.
Do one more song here. This is another one that's similar. It's an artist that's covering another artist that made it famous. The artist that made it famous didn't actually write it, but you would know, the song by him, I suppose mostly. But can you name the name of the song and this artist? Another kind of semi-obscure artist. Here we go.
Oh, it's Dwight Yoakam, isn't it?
Was that Mark?
Dwight Yoakam?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's from Laurel? Nice. That was the hardest part of it. Nice job. Dwight Yoakam. But now who made this famous and what's the name of the song? But Dwight Yoakam's the hardest part, I think.
Elvis.
Why can't you see what you're doing to me?
Suspicious Minds.
Suspicious Minds. That's a great song, isn't it? I love that song. Okay, then I'll just do a little trivia quick here and get off so you guys can listen about Molly and the headache thing, which would be good. Here's one. Which percussion instrument is named after its shape?
Triangle.
Nice. Way to go. Colleen, it took a little while. I tried that at dinner the other night. It took a little while for everybody. This is some obscure stuff. There's a few famous guitar manufacturers. One of them has a guitar named a Stratocaster. What's the name of that brand?
That's Fender. That's Fender.
Fender, good job.
Fender.
Yeah, old musicians. Here's a tough one. If there are 52 white keys on a piano, how many black keys does it have?
36.
Oh, it's not 36, but anybody else?
37?
37? No.
26.
26. 32. I don't know. I got
I
that.
should have known that.
Probably is 26 or something. But okay, you guys all know who David Bowie is, right? He's pretty famous. He was. He passed away a few years ago. But David Bowie, that's not his real name. That was a stage name. Do you guys, anybody know what his real name was?
Dang it.
David, but the last name was something else. And he ended up changing his last name because when he was just getting into music, there was a pretty famous lead singer of a band with the same last name that he had, so he didn't want to get confused with him. And the lead singer was in the Monkees.
Jones?
Yeah, David Jones. That was his actual name. So he changed it to Bowie, so he didn't get confused with the Monkees. Which group recorded?
I lost it.
We couldn't hear you.
Okay, 1984. This is a #1 hit called "Karma Chameleon." What group? What was the lead singer's name?
Oh,
Boy George.
Culture Club.
Culture Club. Culture Club.
Oh, nice job, Dan. All right, good job. All right, last one. You guys probably know this one. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is located in what city?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Oh.
Pass.
boy.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
There you go. That was some good fun for the night. I want to bring up this book too because I really like this one for the microbiome diet. Martha and I have read this book, and if you want to learn more about your microbiome, this is an interesting book. I like it a lot, and it's by Raphael Kellman, Kellman, Raphael Kellman, MD. So, the microbiome diet, something for you to think about. Okay, next is Molly. So Molly, come on on.
All right. Can you guys all hear me? Yes. I'm on my husband's setup for his office. So I think he normally has his picture off and is typing while his meetings are on. So I'll try to look at the camera and look at you. Hopefully it's not too confusing for you. So I'm going to be doing a seminar next month, February 12th, talking about managing headaches and neck pain. Most people at some point have had neck pain, have had headaches. There's lots of different causes and types. I really want to give you a little bit of information about some of the causes from a physical therapy standpoint, but really teach you how to manage it. I have suffered from headaches, from since I was a little kid. I think partially being shorter and having my head pushed forward in the back seat. It sounds so weird, but that's when my headaches started, was being in the back seat. My head was forward, and I always had to have my head out the window because I always got car sick too. So I've had a lot of neck issues with playing sports. I was hit in the face with a soccer ball and all those different things. Anytime you slip, trip, and fall, everything in your body's affected, especially your neck. Has anyone tripped or fallen down the stairs? Raise your hand if you have, right? How about ice, being in Minnesota? Yes, yes. And then you're grumpy for a little bit because your body doesn't feel so good. I was in a car accident in 2013. No fun at all. Nothing broke, but I had a lot of soft tissue issues. I managed it through physical therapy. I also did some massage therapy, lots of exercise, fascia work, acupuncture at one point, some chiropractic work. So just kind of, I used all those different practitioners, and it gets to be a lot of appointments. So really in physical therapy and as a therapist, I want to be able to use the things that I've learned to help my body because I have aches and pains all the time, but I've managed it. And I want to help you guys manage it as well, because when you're not feeling good, it just stinks. So some common causes, a huge one, I don't know if you guys noticed me, but I put a pillow behind my chair because as we're sitting during this meeting, I'm staring at a computer. I'm not used to being on a computer, and instantly wearing the headpiece and sitting on the computer with the bright lights and in my husband's chair, I got a headache. So ergonomics plays a huge part, right? You want to make sure your feet touch the floor, you have the right size of the chair for you, the computer is at the right height, and I'll go into a lot more detail in February, but that's one thing you can easily start with at your home office, in your car as well. If you have lumbar support, use that lumbar support just to give you a little bit of support so that you could passively sit in a good position. Stress. Who has had any stress this year, right? It's just part of life and it ebbs and flows. Stress plays a huge part. And in our neck especially, we tend to breathe with our shoulders, right? So one of the things I want to talk about is breath. And that's a huge piece of our Pilates practice is where do we breathe, right? Does our belly rise up and down, right? Do we get the diaphragm to move? Do we use our neck? Is our back flat? And through Pilates practice, some of you probably have been able to kind of catch on to some of your habits, and hopefully we're teaching you how to engage other areas. Repetitive motions, how we sleep, those all can cause issues with the neck as well as other areas and cause headaches. Here's an interesting thing. So I was rereading through my notes from school, the massage therapy stuff, as well as physical therapy assistant program things. The jaw is a huge, huge component that affects the neck and headaches. Anytime your teeth touch, the muscles of the jaw, the temporalis, the masseter, and the ones inside are activated. So if you're like, yeah, my jaw clicks, I know someone on here whose jaw clicks, right? That's an indication there's some sort of dysfunction going on in that joint. It could be structurally. A lot of times we can start with the muscles and loosening that. So here's a nice tip for you. If you know you tend to clench your teeth a little bit, or if you ever find like you're chewing a granola and, oh my gosh, my jaw is so tired, that's fatigue in the muscles. So a nice resting position for your jaw, and you can try it with me. You put your tongue up on the roof of your mouth where you say no. So say no, and it's not on the teeth, it's like just up and behind. You don't have to sit with your mouth open if you feel like a weirdo. But just that position will keep your teeth apart enough to just relax the muscles a bit. When the jaw is tight, C1 and C2 are affected, right? With our posture and ergonomics, if you tend to do what I do, we're looking over things, we're leaning forward, the jaw itself is shifting forward. The C1, C2 are right next to it and are shifting forward. So we're going to talk more about how the jaw impacts the headaches and the neck. A lot of people will get neck pain, but it's in the shoulders, right? So there's lots of different muscles that can affect the neck. A lot of times if we're really tight in the upper traps, maybe because we're breathing funny, we have more stress, all these different things, you can have trigger points. The difference between a trigger point and a tender point, if you touch a spot, like let's say you get a massage or you just are working on yourself, a tender point is going to be tender to the touch in that area, tight tissue. A trigger point is specific in that it has a referral. So I'm going to show you, and you can do it along with me, a couple of muscles that you can do self-release. And then in the class, we're going to do a whole lot more of that self-release. Think of self-release as a way to manage your symptoms, see if you can get things to calm down. I always tell people, and I use this for myself, if I do all my techniques and I still can't manage my headache, or I'm having pain and I can't seem to calm it down, that's when you want to make an appointment and call your practitioner, because we can help you out. And I use that rule for myself and my aches and pains. All right, sit up nice and tall. Try to sit on the edge of your chair. Feet flat if you can. So right here, upper traps, right? It attaches at the shoulder all the way up to the base of the neck. What I want you to do is take your fingers and you're gonna pinch it, right? And you get to decide how nice or mean you are to yourself. But what I do is I'll find the spots, maybe go up and down a little bit. And if you get a spot where you're like, oh, it zings, it goes up, that's a trigger point. And if you're like, I can't find it, that's awesome, that's great. And you can slide up. So one that a lot of people get is in this crook right here. I don't know if you can see it, but just kind of pinch that. Now, as I find that spot, instant headache for me, because I carry my stress right there. Anybody feel any tightness when you start to pinch? I know you don't want to pinch too hard. And then, of course, you probably need to do the other side. So go ahead and pinch the other side so it doesn't feel left out. When you find a trigger point, hold it, right? You have to hold it long enough for the system to actually let it go. So Hold it, sit nice and tall, right? You can close your eyes if you want to, and just take a deep breath. And a really slow exhale. So the breathing is a huge component to also managing the stress, muscular stress, emotional stress, all those things. When you do the deep breathing with stretching or muscle release, you're going to get a better benefit. Another muscle I would like to show you, and then I'll wrap it up quick. And don't worry, you're going to get a lot more, is your SCM, right? So I call this for me my riding in the backseat headache car, because this is the one that duplicates that headache feeling of I'm dehydrated, I'm in the backseat, my head is forward. So your SCM attaches at the mastoid process up here and then at the collarbone and clavicle. What you're going to do is pinch again. I tip my head to the side just to expose it. And then I'm going to gently pinch. And if I find a spot, if you can tolerate it, you start to just squeeze a little more. I know it doesn't feel the best for some of us. And you can slide down. Don't do this while you're driving, right? It's not a good idea. Maybe I've done it before. And you can keep going down. Right. And it's hard to inflict pain on yourself, but if you find a spot, like I'll hold on to this spot. I keep closing my eyes because I'm finding lots of trigger points on myself. Take a deep breath. And then as you exhale, just do a slow exhale. And you might feel some different sensations. Like for me, mine goes into the eye and into the jaw. This muscle tends to be really tight on a lot of people, and is a good one to work. So that's the SCM. Some of you might have felt stuff, some of you might have not. There's lots of different muscles. I would say anything from like mid shoulder blade on up is associated with neck pain and headaches. So you've got a lot of different muscles and you've got a lot of different layers of muscles that help support your head and can cause some issues. In our class, we're going to be going more in depth on the self-massage. I'll talk more about some of the different specific and non-specific causes of headaches, neck pain. And again, I am including the jaw because it's so intertwined with it. Another one that you can do at home is making sure you're hydrated. Hydration plays a very big part. Sleep also, diet, what are you eating? And then exercise. A great way to increase blood flow is exercise. For your spine and all the different muscles, if you can get the blood flowing, we used to always say like 15 minutes of some sort of light cardio can help with pain management. And then a breathing exercise. And this will be the last thing I talk about here. I know I keep adding it on, but I'm so excited about it. So square breathing, some of you may have heard of this before. If you imagine a square, you inhale, hold your breath. Exhale, hold your breath, and then you inhale. And so you're just going in a square as you inhale, exhale. So try it with me. And this feels really good. We're going to do 3 of them. Go ahead and take a nice deep inhale. And now hold the inhale. And now exhale, push the air out. And hold the exhale. And inhale. Hold the inhale. Exhale. Hold the exhale. Do one more with me. Deep, full inhale. Pause. Hold it. Hold it. Exhale. Let it all out. Hold that exhale. And then resume breathing. Hopefully in those 3 breaths, you felt your body just kind of chill out and relax a little bit. I took a course I have to look back at my notes, but the woman was saying 5 breaths they found in research tends to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system in your body. So I use it to manage things when I'm stressed, when my neck is tight. If I just have a busy day, it's a great way just to calm the whole system. So I'm going to put my computer back and still try to look at the camera. And if you guys want to ask quick questions, you can, but we're going to get a heck of a lot more information in February. And then I also have a potential course coming the second quarter of the year talking about breathing. So it's going to all tie together. I'm super excited to share everything with you and help you. So thanks, guys.
Anybody have questions for Molly? No, that course is February 12th. It's a Zoom course online, and it's at night. You can use your classes for it. So you can just sign up and use one of your classes for it. Alex, you'll have to fix that, Alex, to figure out how that works. Have you done that yet?
Can you move your computer? You're really quiet. I think something might be blocking your mic.
Oh. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, but it's the same. It's okay.
Can you hear me now? Bummer. I don't know what's blocking it. How about this? If I pick it up. No?
We can hear you. It's just really quiet.
Oh, strange. I got it on full blast there. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I'll talk loud. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just talk louder. Okay, that's it, you guys. We did it. I really enjoyed everybody's presentation, and I thought it was very good. If you guys have any questions for anybody, let me know. And again, that course Molly's doing is February 12th, and you can sign up just using your regular credits at the studio. Just if you have a package or if you're a member, you can sign up just using that. And it'll be an hour course, and she'll go through that whole thing, and you'll do some exercises. Right, Molly?
Yeah, I have some specific neck exercises for you as well. I went over the self-release because those are things you guys can start, but I have some specific deep neck exercises to do, which I should be doing them every day. Ugh. So
Okay. So from here, you're welcome to jump off. If anybody wants to talk about that emotional intelligence book any further, just stay on with me and we can talk further. And if you jump off, I'm not going to be offended. It's okay. Especially if you didn't read the book. Okay. Otherwise, I will see you all next time, and we will put an itinerary out for that. Please let us know if you have any information you want us to cover. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah. If you're staying on, say, I'm staying on. Let me know. Otherwise, talk to you all later. Bye.
oops.
Okay, good. Bye, Farida. I didn't get to see your face.
I'm here. I just don't have enough light. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was wonderful.
Okay.
Lots of good information. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks, Molly. That was great.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys could hear me. I got to figure out the computer thing because I don't see you until I look at the other screen here.
Oh.
And I wanted to do it on his computer because it's a bigger setup, but this is weird.
Yeah. And
That's
I'm
okay.
still talking light, huh, Alex? You can't hear me that well?
You're pretty good now.
Yeah.
What happened?